and welcome back to Film Club. I'm your host, Alyssa.
And I'm David.
And today we've got a special guest for you guys. Jess, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hello, my name is Jessica. I'm really excited to be here today. We have a lot of really cool films to look at and to talk about.
That's true.
And I'm very excited because they're a little bit different, but they're very intriguing. There's lots to pick apart here.
Yeah.
I agree. Do you want to maybe give a little bit about yourself, like your favorite movies, get a bit of your vibe?
Yeah, well, what's your list? We didn't ask Ezra because we don't care about him.
Yeah, we don't care about Ezra's list.
But your movie list, I'm sorry to put you on the spot like this all of a sudden.
Okay, so as a film student, you do kind of think about this because this question is asked all the time. You kind of, look, there's the pretentious ones, but I do love them. I have a genuine love for them.
You do love the pretentious
I do love them, and genuinely, I think top definitely has to be The Godfather. I love that film, Francis Ford Coppola.
Have you seen the list of shame by chance?
She knows.
Oh, okay. She's seen
I've heard about your sins.
I'm sorry.
And especially being an Italian.
Yeah, I know. It's poor behaviour.
It's poor form.
I know.
It's something you really need to get on because that film's absolutely gorgeous.
Do you like the sequel?
I do love the sequel. I don't talk about the third one.
Oh, you are first.
But do we love Sofia Coppola as a director though? Even if we don't love her as an actor?
Yes.
Okay, good. Just checking.
Are we like a Godfather 1 or Godfather 2? I know, it's a hard one.
You can't do
I love
that.
the Godfather
That's not fair.
One has like Marlon Brando, but the other one has Robert De Niro playing.
It is the choice.
Is that the one he won the Oscar and then had
Yes.
He rejected it.
And then
and then had
she recently was apologised to.
And then she died.
And they started booing.
Did she die?
Yeah, she died recently.
She died only a month or so after they apologised to her.
And they were booing her at the Academy Awards.
Who was it who almost beat her up? They had to restrain her?
John Wayne.
Yeah, John Wayne was physically trying to. He had held back by 6 security guards by trying not to beat him up.
This woman
and then Clint Eastwood came on afterwards and made a joke about her being there.
Yeah, honestly.
White men, am I right?
Yeah, that's why I forgot who I was talking about, but I was like, ever since I saw that clip and Clint Eastwood making that joke, I was like, oh, kind of.
I mean, have you seen Gran Torino? The man's a racist.
Haven't. No, I have not seen Gran Torino.
I don't want to get black. I don't want
I know.
him to sue me now that I've said that.
Because he's a legend, that's the thing. And it's like, why do you got to go do these things? I don't understand.
Yeah, like the Fistful of Dollars, I was like, this is before I knew about the whole Clint Eastwood thing.
$1 Million Baby is good as well.
I haven't seen that, unfortunately. I've heard that's really good.
Have you seen $1 Million Baby?
I haven't seen that one, but I have seen, something. The one where he leaves the kid at the house and he goes.
The kid at the house.
Oh my God, what's it called?
It's a good question.
When was it made?
It was a more recent one.
Have you seen like Magnum Force and stuff? Like when he played Dirty Harry?
I haven't seen those. Mainly because, again, for the same reasons that you haven't seen The Godfather, my grandfather watched those films all the time.
Yeah.
All the time. And he'd be like, oh, Jesse, we're going to watch this film. We're going to finish it. I'm like, I don't want to watch this film.
That's why it took me a fair while to get into Westerns because like,
because of that.
Because my grandparents watching the Westerns and the whole, John Wayne's like Stagecoach.
My grandparents were cooler than that.
Oh.
So.
What a diss. What a diss.
So your list, so Godfather.
Okay, Godfather, and then after that, I have to say 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Stanley
That
Kubrick.
film has burrowed its way into my brain.
Ezra's reacting off
Do you think
your obsession with Ezra?
I know.
My God, I'm your guest.
I know.
Gee, I'm sorry.
Do you believe the conspiracy theories about it?
Look, it's very interesting, and Kubrick is one of those figures, one of those characters that is like a lot of people like to really read into his work. They kind of consider him a bit of a master, and I see it. Every single one of his films, is perfection. It's masterpiece, but there's a lot of like continuity, kind of inconsistencies, and I feel like when you start saying that somebody is infallible. When somebody is perfect, it kind of, you read into it too much.
Yeah, I didn't realize that Big Brother, the actual reality TV show, like took the whole concept from Space Odyssey.
Yeah.
Interesting.
True.
It's very interesting.
Because what's interesting to me about that film is how it treats the idea of human evolution and technological advancement. And there are so many callbacks that Kubrick makes to his own film, like self-reflexive callbacks. You even see it in The Shining with the final shot. There's this shot, in 2001, like the Übermensch, with the child, you know, moving, like floating towards Earth from space. And you see the same kind of an ending in The Shining with Jack Nicholson's character in the photo frame. 1921,
yes.
the Overlook Hotel picture.
Sorry, I forgot how the last shot was. For some reason my mind went to, you know, when Jack Nicholson's just in like the snow and he's just like freezing and then like his eye like...
That is a very iconic image. And honestly, because I feel like I've seen The Shining, God, goodness, I swear I've seen The Shining a million times. It was always on super late.
Are you into any like horror kind of stuff?
I do love horror stuff, but I like particular things. Like I'm not into like your
You're
paranormal
a
activity.
girl, aren't you?
A little, yeah.
Are you more into like...
We watch Psycho together.
We did watch Psycho together.
I like, you know, I like the ones that are a little bit grittier but have like a really interesting like backstory stuff, like lore that you can really get into. Yeah. Like Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Oh yes.
Which I've spoken to you a lot about.
Yes, we have. Yes.
It is one of my favorites.
Yeah.
I do like a good scare. That is fun.
Have you seen my list by chance?
I have. I've been looking at your list and I've seen most
However,
of them.
I would like to point out, as you guys seen if you watched the episode with Ezra sat in the orange chair next to David. And now Jess is in the green chair with me. Now basically the law for this is that when guests come on, they get to choose if they want to sit in an orange chair with David or a green chair with me. Basically, if they align more with my movies or if they align more with David's movies.
Okay.
And now Jess is in the green chair.
Oh, wait, no, you're gonna switch sides now?
Now I would like to point that out.
Okay.
But I also like to point out, just because those movies aren't in mine doesn't mean I don't like those films. It's just because we didn't want overlapping films.
And same goes with her
Yeah,
list. So
Look,
it really
Because like Seven, love. Parasite, love.
Is there anything in that you don't like?
Well, I haven't seen Memento or The Thing.
I feel like you'd like that.
But I've seen things on The Thing, and I think if I saw The Thing, I would love it.
Yeah,
because
it's basically Among Us.
I've watched video essays on it, and I already know that even though I haven't seen it, I would love it.
It's the original Among Us, basically. That's what Among Us copied.
So true.
But yeah.
So
everything else I have seen.
Me looking at your list, so Parasite was brilliant.
Yes.
Loved that film.
Yeah.
Very eerie.
Yeah.
The green eyes from the climbing up from that haunts me.
Yeah, I know that shot in particular scares a lot of people.
Terrifying.
Yeah, and because I had no idea going into Parasite what I was going to watch. I was like, no one told me anything, so I was just like open clean slate, and how it just kind of developed. It's first like now getting a job there, but now it's getting your whole family a job there, and now it's getting like trying to make sure,
And that's when the idea behind the title really becomes like really clear.
Yeah. But then I think, not trying to get too into it, but it's like who were the actual parasites in that film? You might be thinking, it was them feeding off the rich. But it might be actually the rich that are the parasites.
Yeah. And there are so many interesting parallels in terms of imagery. The family living literally below
them.
Yes.
And not just in the house, but actually where they live in their actual house below the street.
And they get gassed out as well.
Yeah.
With
such a beautiful. And the one thing they can't escape is who they are, and they represent that through the smell. I don't know if you remember that too much.
Yes. Was it like it was a smell, and she's smells. What's that smell?
Yeah, it's and talking about this disgusting smell.
Yeah.
And it's like the
and
one thing
that eventually comes back in terms of the sewer. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what ends with the whole
the flooding.
When the father picks up the keys at the killing, and he holds his nose, and that's what causes one of the main deaths at the end.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're going right into Parasite.
Parasite is brilliant. I actually, oh my god. I'm about to confess a sin.
Okay.
A sin. I know everything about it. I've seen all the essays. I very much appreciate the people in this film. Helena Bonham Carter.
You've never seen Fight Club?
I've never seen Fight Club. I've never seen Fight Club, and it's mostly. I think mostly it's because of the kind of the conversations.
Has
around
it been spoiled for you yet?
The Film Bros?
Yeah, hell yeah. Yeah.
Oh yeah, because if you watch,
if
you watch film essays on it,
the Film Bros kind of have ruined Fight Club.
Which
I guess it kind of makes sense.
It's about guys, and it's about like that kind of like masculine insecurities and all of that stuff.
Sure.
I still think I can't wait to see it, but I just haven't been in the right brain space to sit down and watch it. Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
Great film.
It's fantastic. It's so beautiful.
Yeah,
so beautiful.
It is a beautiful. Like in the intro, I don't know if you guys, well, you probably have.
If you've watched it, you've seen the intro. If you watch the intro, there's one shot where he's rising, but he's falling, but
in the script they wrote it like he's rising.
Yeah.
So
it's cool.
I just loved that shot in particular. That just really sold the whole thing sold me, but that shot just like was the cherry on top.
And I think it reinvigorated animation for a lot of people. Like because at the time, like in terms of the West,
Yes.
because we know other countries are doing it far better. But really, it was only like Pixar and Disney doing it, and we're all sitting here like animation is more like it's more than just for kids or families.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
It can be a lot more.
Exactly.
Exactly. And I feel like that really reinvigorated that entire area of the industry, and also a lot of technological innovation, which Disney's been at the helm of for a long time in terms of like oddly, weirdly, specifically hair technology.
Yes.
The strides we've made in like Elsa's ponytail is like amazing. Merida's long glowing locks, but like all of that stuff. But Spider-Man, Spider-Verse.
Yeah. Well, I think we both have two types of animation that kind of did something a little bit different than what's been seen before.
True. Because I'm looking over at this list and I'm like, they're all really good.
But if you had to pick,
I mean, she's in the green chair.
One favourite.
Oh no, if you
of your list.
Yeah, no, if you had to pick the list, like what list?
Okay, can I say I did not like Hereditary, and I know a lot of people are like, that was an amazing film. That was amazing. I love the film. I don't really like it very much.
Did you like Midsommar though?
I loved Midsommar.
Okay.
I loved Midsommar. Did not like Hereditary.
Interesting.
And from Ari Aster.
I'm kind of glad that she's on that side.
I mean, she's picked her side.
I've picked a side.
That statement alone just picked.
But I adore Seven.
Yeah.
I adore Seven, and I adore The Thing, and I adore Midsommar.
Yeah. Because I know Hereditary wasn't for everyone. I was just joking before.
Well, did you see the
backlash?
Yeah.
Did you see the backlash you got on the first episode?
What? Oh, backlash.
From Amy O'Leary.
Oh, Amy O'Leary. Shout out to Amy O'Leary. I haven't talked to her in ages. It's so funny that you brought up Shutter Island, Amy, because
I'm pretty sure it's Amy's one of her favourite movies.
Yeah, you know what's funny about that? I was there. I recommended it to her.
And she loves it.
And we watched it as a group as well. And I was the one who convinced the group to watch Shutter Island. And now that's her favourite. And now she's giving me shit for not putting
having it up there.
Wow.
How do we feel about Leonardo DiCaprio? Because I feel I'm in two minds about this man. I love his films.
The 25 thing, or
a lot of things. A lot of things. It's a lot of things.
So like,
he's an interesting man.
He's an interesting man, but I never know what to think about him because I see him in interviews and I'm like, he's cool.
Yeah.
He's cool. He knows German too. His mum's German.
Yeah.
He speaks fluent German.
He does stuff for the environment.
Yeah,
so I'm like, hello.
I think he's just really talented.
I just think he really likes younger women.
There's just stuff. There's some stuff. I don't look.
That's when you get like personal life kind of stuff. But like from the movies he's done.
I just think it's funny that his most recent girlfriend's like over the 25 age because he got shit for so much.
Look like Jennifer Connelly like now. She's still like a very beautiful.
But she's too old for Leonardo DiCaprio.
I don't understand that. But anyway, in terms of like your list. Alyssa.
The way you phrase that. Your list.
I actually agree with a lot of it.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll get to it. So Get Out, I think we've had this conversation.
Yes, it's not one of your favourites. You don't like it that much.
No, I did like it, but I do think the film that gets slept on is Us.
Yes, we have had that conversation.
I feel like Us is the better film.
Did that not have one of the most scariest, but the main theme, how they remixed I Got 5 on it, and you know the main theme of Us, I Got 5 on it. They got the song and then they remixed it into a horror.
Oh yes, I know what you're talking about because the composer for those movies for both Get Out because I adore the composition on those. It's just beautiful. It's so harrowing, it's so intense, and the use of these kind of like warped violins and like very synthetic sounds. It feels very clinical, which suits Get Out.
Yes.
But Us was a bit different.
Yeah.
Us scared me more.
Yeah. Well, I think Us was more horror.
Yeah, and as we talked about, like
True.
even though I do agree it's more scarier, but for me it doesn't make it a better film in my opinion because I didn't pick it because of the horror. I picked it because
like I said, I think
for me
way more into the horror.
I enjoyed it like. In terms of seeing it for the first time, that's why I was like, I love this. Yeah. With Us, I liked it. It definitely was scary, but that's not.
I just like Jordan Peele.
Yeah, he's got a great career going for him.
Jordan Peele and Donald Glover, I think, are like one of the most talented people.
True.
They're
Like,
good at everything.
they are good
Yes.
at, like, Donald Glover, actor, singer, comedian, producer, writer. Oh,
he's good.
he does.
He's a master of everything.
He is.
Jack of all trades.
He is a jack of all trades.
He's a jack of all trades.
Alright. Do we want to kind of delve into the films that we've chosen for today?
Yeah. Well, so shall we do yours first?
Yeah, we can do mine first.
Okay.
So I've chosen The Usual Suspects. It's a 1995 film. And
What are you looking at? Oh.
what is that?
Who's that?
Fucking terrifying.
Is that Ezra?
Is that
What is going on?
You know, Ezra's not here. Wait, Ezra, you good there, buddy?
What is going on?
Ezra. Wait, what?
What?
What's happening?
Ezra.
It's like Adam's family over here.
I don't know if he's putting his hand.
Ezra,
He just wants
if
to.
you don't come out right
wants
now,
attention.
I'm gonna hit you with the microphone.
Ezra, fuck off.
He hasn't been spoken about since I got here.
Yeah.
And now he's all jelly.
Is it because you want me to talk about you?
What are you doing?
You don't.
Quirky, you know.
Is he always like this?
Yeah, he is.
Bro, you're supposed to be on my side.
She'd be kind of neglecting me. Mate.
Neglecting you? Okay, come here for a second. Come here.
Don't.
Come
Do
here.
not
Come here.
bring him on. Do.
Okay,
Be on the stage.
yeah, you can come. I'm kidding. Just go. Go.
Oh my
Go.
god.
Yeah, I'm here now.
You were on literally like 2 episodes ago.
Yeah.
Bro, and I talk to you off screen, so like, what do
He always talks to you off
do you want
screen.
more? Do you want more screen time? Or is that like? No. Okay, come here. Legitimately, come here.
Don't.
Come here. Actually, don't. No. You can come.
We're back.
Do you want to?
Welcome to the Ezra show, right?
No.
That's what this means? I'm back on?
No
Full time?
way.
Yeah? Are we looking at which camera?
You don't even know what camera to look at, for God's sakes. And you man the cameras.
What films are we talking about?
Get out,
Get out.
please. I really hope.
David, he's your responsibility.
Yeah. Well, see, that's the thing. I thought he was gonna come on and
He
be
better
like.
not become a fan favorite.
I thought you were gonna say something cool, and I vouch for you like
He's
that.
not a cool guy.
I vouch for you like that, Ezra, and then you're not doing anything.
I'm cool, I do cereal and then milk.
Fuck off,
Can I?
dude. Just stop it. All right.
All right.
You good there?
The Usual Suspect.
Yes, thank you for getting us back on track there.
1995.
yes.
Is it Brian Singer?
It is.
It is Brian
So Brian Singer's the director, and it was written by Christopher McQuarrie. Now, this was the movie that got them both on the map.
Ooh.
Before this, neither of them had done anything of like, not substantial, but like people
done
didn't
stuff.
They'd done stuff, but people didn't really know. This film is what like kind of started their careers, like because they both got nominated for Oscars, stuff like that.
Started a few people's careers.
It did. I would like to, before we go into this more, I have a statement to make.
Speaking of
No,
careers.
I do have a statement to make before we go into it.
Yes.
Fuck Kevin Spacey.
Can we say that together?
Yes.
Fuck
Kevin
Kevin
Spacey. Just because we're doing this film and like when we did Baby Driver before, we don't condone his actions. Shitty person, whatever. It's really unfortunate that he's a good actor and has been in a lot of great films.
That Alyssa likes to keep talking about. She just likes to highlight all the Kevin
Look,
Spacey.
I think it's for films anyway. So many people put so much effort into it that one person ruining it kind of sucks because it's one person over the crew and the producers and so many people who put so much effort into it. And as long as you're not furthering giving them like money or profit, I think you can separate the art from the artist as long as you're not like willingly giving them more money or giving them more attention. Like these
Agreed.
films have been out for like what, 30 years?
Yeah, getting on.
Yeah, so getting there.
getting
So it's
there.
like
Wow.
I feel like you can still watch these films without giving more attention to these
Yeah.
people. And even if you are giving attention to the film, you're doing it for the directors or the writers or the crew or all these other people who put so much effort into it. And it's a real shame that one person, for being a shitty fucking person, ruins it for other people.
So for people at home who haven't seen the Usual
Yes.
Suspects, can you give us a little bit of a rundown?
I can. So basically, it's about 5 criminals who are the usual suspects. You know, when something goes wrong or something happens and they don't have any suspects, these are the people that they bring in. So they all get brought in for a police lineup and a bit of an interrogation when a van gets some guns stolen. And from there, they plan to do a heist involving some emeralds. And then from there, they unfortunately get themselves into more heists they kind of didn't want to in the beginning. It started as a one plan thing, a one job, that kind of leads them to going into more jobs, and that's kind of where everything starts to go
It starts
wrong.
out as a little bit of a mystery, doesn't it?
I really enjoyed that, especially if you watch it for the first time. I think it really keeps you in suspense, and for that, I really like how they.
I got it spoiled for me. So,
Yeah, but
instantly
it was
the
a
first scene, I'm
while ago
like,
for us.
Pop
So
culture osmosis, that'll do it.
yeah,
so
it was a while ago, so it's hard for us to not like get spoilers from these really not old movies, but like
I even think that even if you were to not have any spoilers, because I had a vibe, but I wasn't
Yeah.
sure what it was really about.
Also, halfway through when they introduced Kaiser Soze, I was like, yeah, that's.
Well, I
Kevin
think it's also
but like
important
you
to
know
view
because
it.
you've been told.
Yeah,
If you didn't
no.
know,
All I knew, like, the spoiler was I saw Kevin Spacey go from limping to like walking.
so you knew.
That's the only spoiler.
But that means you knew because
So, yeah, I was
you
like,
knew
he's
that
pretending
he was
to be
pretending.
someone-
But if you didn't know that, I think it's still like a good reveal. Like if you didn't know, because there's nothing that points to. Well, there is. When you watch it back for like the second or third time, you see it. You see it so many times. Like how he sees it, like how he looks at his watch the same way that he looks at his watch. How intently. Like when we see like Verbal go into the room, how intently they look at the posters, and at first you're like, okay, interesting, and then you realise at the end why they looked at it so much.
Also, you may notice that every single time they mention Kaiser Soze, they cut to Kevin Spacey, to Verbal.
Yes,
they
true.
always cut to him.
True.
And the idea is
the fuck when he comes and goes, who's Kaiser Soze? And he goes,
fuck.
fuck.
Yeah.
So bad, so fake. When you watch it the second time, you're like, there's no way. There's no way.
I think it's also important to remember that we're looking at it from 2022 vision. When you were watching it in 1995, Kevin Spacey was not the same household name that that he is now.
Yes.
People did not know about Kevin Spacey at that point in time, so he didn't seem like the obvious character to look at. The Keaton character, the guy.
Yeah.
But like,
he was a much bigger actor.
But did anyone believe he was Kaiser Soze? Like I know.
Did. Like people watching it for the very first time in 1995, they would have believed yes. But there are many theories about
that's what I think, because I got it spoiled, so I'm like, oh, that's Kaiser Soze. So like, it's like if I didn't have that information, I wonder if I would actually believe if Keaton was Kaiser Soze.
I don't know. I feel like that opening scene for me anyway, because when I watched it for the first time, I don't think I actually knew. And watching the opening scene, it was really hard for me to believe it was Keaton because of that opening scene. I was like, why set it up with us seeing Keaton die if he turns out to be the Kaiser Soze? And I think that the detective Kuya is just too blinded by hatred.
Yeah, on a side note.
But also, I love Keaton as a character. I think he's great. I love his character so much that I was like kind of biased.
Why is that? Why did
I
you like
don't
his
know. I
character so
like
much?
just that he was a bit more of the level-headed one, but also he did try to go straight.
Isn't he also Irish?
No, but he did try to go straight, and he did love.
Yeah, but we
Ida.
don't know that. We don't know
I do.
that.
In my heart, I do. I'm sorry.
You think he was going to be straight, like
Him
a
and
straight
his
boy?
lawyer girlfriend.
Look, he did love Ida, and he tried so hard for her, and even when she knew that he couldn't be
But
good all
that's
the time,
Verbal's story.
I know, but I believe it in my heart.
For some reason as well.
I believe it in my heart.
I don't know why I
don't
thought
care.
it. At the very end, when he hopped in the car, I'm like, I swear, if that lawyer, if Keaton's...
That's the biggest plot twist, that Kobayashi was a white man.
I know. I was like,
that's
what?
the biggest plot twist.
No, he had like, but even his name was confusing because it wasn't he meant to be from Pakistan?
Yeah, he was.
What, Kaiser Soze?
No,
wait,
Kaiser Soze is
Hungarian.
Hungarian.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Kobayashi.
Oh, okay.
But then he was a white man. But then again, he was just doing it after the porcelain
Yeah.
that he saw, which is great when he drops the coffee cup and it's
the
just
double meaning, the
double-
porcelain
I
The
So good.
that's now I feel like turning. I know. I don't know if it did it first, but that shot in particular, the whole coffee cup drop is now. Do you think it's turned into a cliche?
It has.
It has
Yeah.
definitely turned
When I
cliche,
saw it, I was
but
like,
Yeah, well,
But like, you gotta think about when it first came out.
back
That
then,
was
it's
no
like,
longer.
was it-
It
was that
wasn't
a
a cliche.
cliche back then?
It was done with like no sound as well.
Yeah.
So when it drops, it's
It was so
very
cool.
dramatic.
It was very
Yeah.
dramatic. And the amount of slow like zoom ins, the slow push ins,
Yeah.
the amount of there's so many in the film, which kind of makes sense because everything you learn is a new piece of information because of how disjointed and how much we
You're getting
flicked
closer to the truth.
between.
Yeah.
I know, like when we.
Ooh.
Did you notice how like
Ooh.
when we see the boat like burnt down for the first time, we see that pan up from behind the building,
Yes.
and then we see it for the second time in the past. It's the same pan up, and you go, oh, we're finally like going to see what happens.
Yeah.
Because I think the film is really good at showing you only what they want to show you.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And I
Because
feel
when,
like
Well, isn't
when
it not
the
from the
opening shot,
unreliable narrator?
It
True
is.
Suspect?
Well, that's what it is because
Yeah.
it's a whole lie.
Yeah.
Like the whole story is a
Exactly.
lie from
Yeah.
verbal.
Yeah.
All kinds of. I feel like.
because the opening shot basically is telling you everything you need to know.
Yeah.
It's that focus on the ropes with the gun and all of that, and the,
Yeah.
the kind of the red light.
And you,
Yeah.
you
He's
think
meant
it's
to
because
be-
he's behind them,
Yeah.
He's
but
meant
it's
to be,
not.
but he's not.
He's not. It's
He's
so
not
good.
behind there.
But I love all the reactions when
It's the lineup.
the usual. But when all the usual suspects find out it's him, but we don't know they find out it's him, like Hockney's reaction is like the bright light because there's the whole thing of him being a godlike figure. So that bright light in his face when Hockney finds out, and then when McManus finds out, he goes, "It's the strangest thing," and then he falls down. And then when Keaton finds out, he just like laughs.
Yeah.
He just goes, and he goes, I can't feel my legs. That's
No.
what he says. And that's because of his
Yes,
legs.
exactly. And it's so cool because for him, he finds out because he lights the lighter in his face so he can see, but we only see his torso.
Do you know
so
the
we
guy-
know
the
it
guy-
happens, but we don't see it happen.
Well, the guy, the film tries to mislead you in so many different
I know,
ways.
Yeah.
so
Because the
good.
guy that played the Kaiser Soze in the
Yeah.
beginning is not Kevin Spacey.
Yeah.
No.
I forgot who it was though. Was it the guy in the red, or was it actually
Well, they didn't
what's his
show at the
face?
beginning of the film with Kaiser. It was silhouetted. It was like
Yeah.
you
Yeah,
couldn't.
But when
Was it
we
Kevin
see
Spacey?
no,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
when we see him like from Verbal's point of view, and we see Keaton get shot, we do see a little bit more of this slim build
Build, yeah.
man. Who I'm not too sure who was.
Yeah.
Can we talk about how every single shot transition in this film is a complete jump scare?
But
I just about died every time. I was like, oh my god, oh my god. Like,
But
really?
how cool is the transitions when we're meeting the usual suspects for the first time? Like
Yes.
when they get McManus and the gun shooting turns into the can shaking in the garage, and then when Hockney throws the towel, it goes to black and cuts back to
jump scare every single time.
what's Ben Acho's character's name? Fernandez? No, I think that's not right. I think it's an F, but I
Fenster.
can't. Fenster. Thank you. I knew it was an F, but I
the
couldn't remember
one
what
I
it was.
remembered.
It goes into him. Like
Yes.
the transitions are so interesting.
When he's like, do you guys fucking sleep?
Have you seen? I think this is gonna be so out of like the blue, but like Saw 4 or 5 had the most weirdest transitions as well. It had like someone being like pushed through a glass and then it'd break into like.
I think they're so clever.
Yeah.
Like the coffee cup, like the fade in from the coffee cup and then it spins around. The transitions are so clever, I think.
Yeah,
And
but
so
they-
interesting.
They scared me every time. It felt like, because every time it was met with this searing musical score, because
Yeah,
it
the
felt like the
score is so
monster was
good,
getting
yeah.
closer, the monster was getting
Score is
excited
so
every
good.
single time something went his way. And it was very intense,
Yeah.
quite harrowing. And of course that very famous line. Very famous line. Would you like to volunteer the line?
I think you can do it. You're the guest. You're the
it's
guest.
like
You can do
the
it.
greatest trick the devil ever pulled
Yeah.
was making you think he didn't exist.
I love that. But the ending when he says that and he goes poof and it cuts back and then goes
That's
gone.
scary because it's Kevin Spacey.
True.
That's scary. Have you seen that video of him on YouTube where he's like in the armchair and he's all
Disgusting.
like,
But I think that was a really cool way to end it with using that line again and then going the poof and the cutting to black and going gone.
gone?
I think that's very well done.
Quite poetic.
Do we know about the lineup scene? Like the
Yeah,
improvised
yeah,
lineup
yeah,
scene?
yeah. And then someone,
Like-
did someone not fart in.
Yeah, so Beneco farted like 12 times apparently, and that's where they all started laughing.
Yeah, yeah.
And I just kept it because it felt like so much better.
Because even before like he said the line, you could
They
see
were all laughing.
Keaton off screen just
They
like
were just all
covering his mouth.
But it was good because that scene is
Yeah.
really well framed. Like them walking into it is so
Is
well
that not
framed.
the-
And then
okay.
McManus like having, because all the characters are so different and seeing them interact is so interesting because they're all very different characters.
Yeah.
But like with like the lineup scene, we get like McManus like making a joke of it and being like, give me the fucking money, like just putting an act and then
Is that
going.
not one of the most iconic scenes
I know,
from
and then
the
like being the next time all giggling.
Yeah.
So funny. And they go, speak an English figure, and he gets his accent even stronger because they've told him to speak English, and his accent goes, what the fuck?
Yeah.
What the fuck? So good.
Yeah. You know, that was meant to be the most serious scene in the entire film.
So
that was meant to be done straight, you know?
But it was so much better.
But, yeah, it works so much.
when,
I think it works so much
because it makes
better
it feel like they do this all the time.
Yeah,
but it doesn't phase them anymore.
and obviously, because I keep on referring to the cops as pigs, and it's like, why would they just like adhere?
Why would they make it
adhere
serious?
to what they're saying? They'll just, I think, genuinely just fuck around because they're not taking it seriously.
So what was the name of the actor who played the guy in the red shirt? What was his name?
Oh, actually, I don't know how to...
Red shirt, the guy with the weird accent.
Yeah,
that's Benicio del Toro.
Yeah, because Benicio was in Sicario, if you've seen that at all, and also Guardians of the Galaxy, he plays the Collector, I believe.
Oh, does he?
Yeah, quickly Google that, if you can. But he...
Well, when he first read the script, he was not very happy because he found out that his character got killed off pretty early.
Yeah.
So he was not happy about that, and so he decided to kind of get one up on the screenwriter by coming up with the weirdest accent.
It's so funny.
I know, but it makes him so memorable.
Like when they're in the cell and he's like, they shouldn't treat me like this. He goes, but you're a cannibal. He goes, that's not my point. Like he's just such a funny character.
Yeah.
But that cell, like prison cell scene after like the interrogation, where like the tracking shots around, like and Hockney and McManus and the three of them are really tight in the frame, and then Keating is by himself with all that empty space, showing he's the outsider because he has gone straight, and we don't even know that.
But also
Kevin Spacey's there.
Yeah,
we don't know he's there until Hockney goes. Until Hockney who's the cripple, and it pans to him in the corner.
Yeah.
And then when McManus walks around, it pans, it follows him around. It's such an interesting scene. It's so well done.
Did you know that Kevin Spacey actually glued his fingers together?
Yeah, that would be really hard to like keep up.
He had his hands glued
I can just imagine that just.
I didn't know that was Stephen Baldwin. McManus is Hailey Bieber's father, Stephen Baldwin. I didn't know that.
Nepotism. Again.
I'm still
strikes back.
Gluing it.
Like, how do you
get that undone? You know what I mean?
He's Kevin Spacey. I mean,
gosh.
You know, he does stuff.
Yeah. He does. And obviously the limp, obviously, just throwing off why he's not Kaiser Soze. You know.
But the idea is that he's hiding in plain sight.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think it was spoiled like immediately because you're looking at Kevin Spacey because he's nowadays the biggest actor in the film.
Yeah.
So really, that Keaton guy was meant to like get the heat off of him, so people would go, "He's the big actor. You should be looking at him." But in reality,
Yeah.
Okay, can we talk about like Chaz Palminteri, the guy who played the officer?
Yes.
Because oh my god, like beautiful man.
So good.
Beautiful man.
So good.
Other than The Irishman. Alyssa and I are having like
you're bonding over this
whole Irish thing.
We do. We love it.
If you love Irishman, you must watch not The Irishman. Peaky Blinders.
Yeah.
Cillian Murphy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Fair.
I know it's a little sidetrack, but it's an important one.
Does Colin Farrell play in The Gentleman?
I love Colin Farrell. Yeah, in The Gentleman, he's so good in that.
Yeah.
How do you feel about the subplots? I think they worked like with like the Hungarian being in the hospital.
Oh yeah, and then the whole.
I think it works so well with keeping up the mystery and then the tension in the end.
It's this big boogeyman hanging out in the background.
Well, like I said, because I already knew what was going to happen. I'm like, they're going to sketch out Kevin Spacey,
I feel like subplots sometimes just don't hit.
Yeah.
But this worked very, very well.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. But all the dialogue as well.
I will feel like as much as the actors in this film are brilliant and they do have some very funny lines, very funny moments, didn't really care about them very much in the film.
No,
I'm going to say this wasn't my favourite film to watch.
Interesting.
I'm going to say that. It wasn't my favourite film to watch, and I think it's because I was confused through the beginning half, and then I had to look it up, and then I kind of got back on track.
Yeah,
and that usually doesn't happen to me in films, but like Tarantino says, you cannot confuse your audience. They have an umbilical cord to that screen, and as soon as that's cut, they're disconnected and gone.
Interesting, because for me, the reason, I like that it was disjointed and a little bit confusing because it made me want to watch the rest and figure it out. Because I'm one of those people who try to guess the end before it happens. So it being disjointed and there being so much mystery behind everything made me want to keep watching it, but it's different for everyone.
So I think you'd like Memento for that reason, and I think you won't like Memento for that reason.
Yeah.
That's why, like I said, that's why I think Memento was so good because I did a whole disjointed storyline. But I totally get what you mean because I was also a bit disengaged for the first half, but once they started getting into the heists and that stuff, and when they introduced the whole Kaiser Soze figure, I'm like, oh, this is getting interesting. And then when Kevin Spacey did his iconic line, I'm like, yeah, I'm kind of hooked.
I was like, oh, that's why we're watching this film.
Yeah.
That's why. Fair enough.
I think, yes, something that I also found really interesting about this film, because it takes place in the latter half of the 20th century, and this film takes from the tradition of the film noir very heavily, and it's plain as day in the title of the film, The Usual Suspects, because Bryan Singer wrote I'm fairly sure, wrote an article for Spy magazine called The Usual Suspects.
Really?
And that line was actually taken from a line from Casablanca, which is a very, very, very famous film noir. The Usual Suspects is basically what happens when you need some fall guys, some guys to basically go, a man has been shot, call the usual suspects. Like we're not going to talk about the guy who actually shot him, we're going to bring in these other guys, you know.
And even like Verbal says that when he's like, if you're convinced the brother did it, you'll find reasons why the brother did it. Like,
exactly.
That, if you're determined to be that person, you can make it that person.
And I feel like it's interesting how it subverts some of the tropes of the film noir a little bit. You know, very heavily in that very opening scene where it's like in the opening sequence, and then you see Kevin Spacey sitting in that kind of like harshly lit room, and he's talking. Even the way he speaks, he's introducing what happened in the crime scene. It sounds very noir to me, and his voice doesn't sound like that through the whole film. So it's very interesting.
Yeah, it's so funny you mentioned that, because I also picked that up. Like when he first was kind of like narrating, I was like, oh.
It's very
this
different.
Sounds like a hard-boiled
kind
cop
of
detective.
sounded like it was missing some subtext. But then, as the film went on, his character had. So I was like, kind of also I'm not saying that disconnected me for a second, but I was kind of puzzled why that happened. But then once he got the whole, you know, actually adding subtext to it, so I think, like you said, that brings up a good point. I don't know if that,
I think the dialogue's very interesting. It's because it's very quick. And it's very smart. Like the whole, like when was giving his like of what happened, but we're back in the actual room, like the back present day between Detective Kuya and him. The dialogue is very quick and it's very smart, and it can be funny. It can go from funny to like super serious so quick. I think it's very interesting how they do that, and that might just not only be writing but also the performances by the actors as well.
Yeah,
because it feels just so tense as well. Like, we have a lot of shots of, like, either Kevin Spacey and, like, half of the back of Detective Kuya or, like, up. And there's a lot of, like, interesting shots there as well.
Because when I watch a film, this is very interesting, because you guys seem to really be into cinematography and very much into how the film looks and how it's crafted in terms of its composition.
Yes.
And for me, I'm looking at I'm looking at the story. I'm looking at the characters and all of that stuff.
Because I don't think you're meant to like the characters. Because I agree with you. Like I don't, except for Keaton, I don't care. Except for Keating, I don't care about any of the characters. But I like that because I like the fact, because these are the usual, they're criminals. You're not meant to like.
She likes that he got a lot of screen time.
Yes, I do. But like, I think it's interesting having criminals who are very different to each other trying to interact and work together because they play off each other and they riff off each other.
Yeah.
And it's not necessarily because I like the characters, except for Keaton, obviously, I love that man. It's more like I want to see how they work together and the interaction they have together. Like it's like when Beneco characters die and McManus is like, we're burying him. He's so much like so committed because he's been working with this guy for 5 years, and then Hockney's like, I don't care. I don't give a shit. It's just so interesting. Like everyone's character's trait. It's just like, and character development is so interesting to me.
Yeah. So how do we feel about this film on the whole?
I think that it has a really great twist. I think
that's the major part.
That is the major part of it.
The whole film is just the twist.
It's a
and also the interrogation scene, the whole lineup. I think that.
It's a brilliant setup.
I think they work up to the twist really well. Like I know you two kind of just don't really agree.
We were just distanced from it. It was too long ago.
But for me, I quite liked how it was paced, and how it worked, and how it was like disjointed. For me, it worked, but I get like it doesn't work for everyone.
Yeah. Well, like I said, after I got through that part and they introduced Kaiser Soze, I really got hooked. Kind of like, oh. Yeah. I'm like, but as soon as they said Kaiser Soze, I'm like, I bet that's Kevin Spacey.
Yeah. Yeah, but like it's because you know him as a big actor now. Back then, people wouldn't
KS,
like know.
Kevin Spacey.
Yeah.
Kaiser Soze.
Yeah.
Damn. God. Okay. Yeah. I didn't. Okay.
Yeah.
I wonder if that was intentional.
Kaiser in German, it's like king or emperor.
Oh, interesting.
And king is similar to the dude's name, verbal. And
I think the review was really good. Like the close shot of the walking and it slowly.
oh,
like,
that
goes-
is terrifying.
It's so
That's
cool.
really scary.
It's so cool.
It's creepy because you're like,
yeah.
oh, you know. But yeah, how do we feel about the film on a whole? You guys give it a rating, right? Is that
Yeah.
what it is?
We give it a rating.
We give it
The
a
rating?
rating.
The only person we don't give ratings is Ezra. But
Well, he got
that's
a
all.
rating last time when he was
Well,
on.
now we don't give him ratings.
Well, he's not on, so
Yeah.
he'll never.
The privilege
I don't
has
think.
been revoked.
Yeah. Ever since that incident today, I don't think you're ever going to come back on. I give it an 8. So 8 or 8.5.
I'm giving it an 8.5.
Can I give it a
personally.
grading system? Can I do it to an
Oh.
ABC?
You want to
yeah.
do an ABC?
You're the guest.
Oh, well.
Can you give it both then?
Okay.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. Just, switch it up, change it up. Okay, so, if I only liked the first bit and the last bit, and then a tiny bit in the middle,
Oh gosh.
does that make it like a more of a 7?
Oh wait.
And
sorry.
that make it like a
I think
B
give it,
plus?
Yes, I think
B
so.
plus. Yeah.
A B plus?
Yeah. I think that's
Because
solid.
for
I
me, an
feel comfortable
8.5
with
would
a B
be like an
plus.
A minus sort of thing.
Yeah.
High A minus.
Solid.
What are you giving it?
8 point. Just an A actually.
8?
Yeah.
An A. Why an A? That's a lot.
He said 8.
8.
An 8.
Oh, sorry.
Okay.
You're the one doing grades.
So that'd be like an A minus. Or
An
something.
8.
Yeah. Mine's an A minus as well, but a high A minus would be a low A minus.
What stops it from becoming this great, amazing, legendary film for you?
Kevin Spacey.
Oh, like I said, I got.
Valid.
I got.
Valid.
I got bit disjointed at the beginning.
It's just confusing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
For
then
me, I
at
enjoyed it.
the very end, I already knew the twist. So if I knew the twist and I got that kind of,
Yeah. For me, I didn't know the twist when I watched it for the
So,
first time. So it
I feel like if I
resonates with
didn't,
me a bit more.
if I didn't know the twist, I think I'd got a bit more into it. I think, but all our rating systems,
Yeah.
So.
I
perfect.
think
we're
we've
set.
covered all the bases.
Gosh, yeah, covered all the bases. I
We've
reckon.
done a pie chart. we've all had a bit of a consensus.
Whiplash,
Whiplash.
2014, directed and written by Damien Chazelle. Chazelle or Chazelle?
Chazelle.
Chazelle.
Chazelle?
Chazelle?
Chazelle.
I don't
Chazelle.
know. I'm just going to go
Chazelle?
what everyone else says.
Yeah, so Damien also directed La La Land and First Man.
Okay, that makes a lot
and-
more
I don't
sense.
care
then-
what anyone says about La La Land. I do love that film. Even if you... Okay, well... Okay. Look,
Oh, just look back.
do you want to add it?
Look, I give him a pass because it's more of a modern film. I forgive you.
Fair.
More of a
Continue.
modern film, so it's still a classic because that came out in 27.
Yeah,
I
but
wouldn't call
like,
it a classic.
you can't call it a classic if it's only been out for like...
3 seconds.
Yeah.
I
Because
mean,
how is it a classic? It's been out for 3 seconds.
Well, I'm trying to think.
I wouldn't say it's a good film. Anyway, we'll talk about it.
The ending is... for
Yo,
me,
no, okay,
the
no,
best thing ever.
yeah, wait a second, no spoilers.
I said the ending is the best thing ever. I didn't
Yeah.
say what was the
All right.
ending.
Okay,
And I was
cool.
talking to Jess, not you.
So for the people at home, can you give us a little bit of a rundown of what Whiplash is
Whiplash.
about?
So basically, we follow a jazz musician, Andrew Neiman, really trying to become one of the greats, and then he gets found by one of the heads of the music department in the university. Terrence Fletcher.
Terrence Fletcher,
Because they always
yes.
refer to him as Fletcher.
It is
They
Terrence
ne-
Fletcher.
They never
That's
say
right.
so. Terrence Fletcher recruits him and kind of starts manipulating him in order to try to make him the best drummer he can. But in order of manipulating him, he goes to some very, very extreme.
He's a dick.
He's
a dick.
Alyssa, so succinct. He's a dick.
He's a dick.
He's, I think, every musician's worst nightmare.
Because he's not just like that for Andrew. He's like that for all
He's
his
like that
musicians.
for everyone. And basically, we see Andrew's downfall into trying to become and searching for perfectionism. And this also lessons from the screenplay. I'm going to bring them up again.
Go
But
ahead.
they did a very, very well crafted video essay on comparing Black Swan with Whiplash,
yes.
and both are very quite similar to each
Yeah,
other.
very.
It's following the downfall of an obsessed artist trying to chase perfection, but at the very end, he kind of succumbs to Fletcher's ideologies, but at the same time becomes a great. So going into it,
Well, we hope.
we hope. So Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor for J.K. Simmons. He's terrifying.
He's terrifying in
He
that
is-
film.
Scared of J.K. Simmons.
I know some musicians.
It made like he would like say like insults and I would laugh, but if it was me in there, I would cry my eyes out.
Yeah, well,
I'd cry if he looked at me.
Oh yeah.
I'd be like, no, sir, please.
Have you ever had a teacher or like a figure
Some of those
like
insults
that
was so funny.
of that extent kind of thing?
I
'Cause I-
feel like I have a little J.K. Simmons in my brain.
Oh, so you're
I don't know if you should admit that.
Oh.
I don't know
I
if
feel
you
like-
should admit
So you're
that.
gonna throw chairs at people now, Jess?
No,
Symbols?
he
So-
throws
oh my
chairs
God.
at me.
Oh my. I had when I used to do gymnastics when I was younger, I had this coach called Mike.
Mike.
He's Mike. He rode a motorcycle. He had a full-on beard.
Mike.
He was my Terence Fletcher, and he was doing like he wasn't obviously we're only like children
No,
here. So
don't make excuses for him. He has hurt you.
He didn't hurt me. He was like looking back on it, he's such a lovely, caring.
He's making excuses.
No, he
Sounds
cared,
like it.
he cared for everybody.
It's trauma talking.
And he really pushed
Trauma
you.
bonded.
Trauma bonded.
He really pushed you to your limits. Like I mean, pushed you to your limits. But in that way, we did develop ourselves. But he wasn't to the extent of Terence Fletcher. I was scared of Mike when I was younger. But like as I grow older now, I kind of appreciated how much like what he did realistically when I was back then was scary. But like looking now, it's like, oh, it wasn't like too bad, wasn't too out of line. But he was my Terence Fletcher. So having J.K. Simmons portray like this, what's that look
Well,
for?
he wasn't that bad, but he was my Terence Fletcher.
That's a
He didn't
big
throw
don't
anything
wanna-
at me, but he was my Terence Fletcher.
I don't want to be like defaming like Mike at all. I don't have him good his
Then
last
why are
name.
you calling him Terence Fletcher?
But because he was a scary bloke. Like he was like, you know what I mean? He was a scary bloke, but at the same time, he was a very caring man, and he really.
just like Terence.
Terence cares. Terence cares too
Terence
much.
loves you.
Oh gosh. But yeah, J.K. Simmons won Best Supporting Actor, which he totally.
I
He
think
totally deserved.
Miles Teller should be nominated for
Yeah.
something.
See, Miles Teller.
That's my favourite role.
He's
Miles-
over here bleeding over a drum kit, and everyone's like,
Miles Teller goes very unnoticed, his performance, and this is just because J.K. Simmons. Don't
Also
get,
good, yeah.
J.K. Simmons shined, but also Miles Teller did shine.
I
but
think he should have been nominated for something. It's my favourite performance of
yeah,
his.
he did a really
It's pretty
fantastic job.
brilliant.
I know musicians. I think I already said that, but like have kind of debunked some things of these movies.
but the thing is, there is an authenticity to the film.
There is an authenticity, but at the same time, it is a bit dramatized.
Damien, the director and the writer, he was a jazz musician.
Yeah, and he experienced something similar to.
The kind of psychological torment that comes with a perfectionist as a teacher, and also what comes with being a part of a genre like jazz. As it is explored in the film, as well as other films of Damien's, like La La Land, the idea of jazz being a dying genre.
Yeah.
It's still alive and well, and it is still very much loved and appreciated and interacted with, but it has in a lot of ways, unfortunately, been resigned to Starbucks coffee shop albums.
As well as the idea of like fame, like both La La Land and Whiplash have that thing of like wanting to be the greatest, to be the best, and wanting to be remembered.
There's a quote I can't remember too much. I can't remember like word for word. But it involves he rather dies at 36 as a junkie
with people know his name than live to 96 and
be a mediocre.
Have no one know who he is.
Mediocre.
Yeah.
That really shows kind of like
This film really hit me. A lot of personal.
I don't know. I got chills when J.K. Simmons was like, "You think I didn't know it was you?" Like at the end.
Okay.
I got absolute
my god.
chills.
Like Damien, he wrote this so
I was
beautifully.
like, I freaked out.
He wrote this so well. When he wrote this, he had a script and everything, but studios were like, I don't want to touch that. And no one was making it, and then so he decided to make it into a 20-minute, half an hour short. He was able to get J.K. Simmons, and they made like a 20-minute, half an hour short, submitted to Sundance, and it did very well. And from that, all these offers came, and it's like, oh, now you want to. But I guess now the studios understood what he was trying to achieve with it.
Like his vision for it. Yeah.
So they made the film, obviously, and they kept J.K. Simmons. I still don't know how he was able to pull J.K. Simmons for that short. I don't know what.
J.K. Simmons must have just loved the character.
Yeah, he must have.
And he played it so well.
He did.
Oh my goodness.
He really did. He's really good at.
It did get a Best Picture nominee as well.
And Best Original Screenplay.
Yeah. Best, I think,
Was it
some great
writing?
shots.
sound mixing as well.
Best Writing Academy Award.
You might need to look that up. I do not
I
want to be
remember
quoted.
that. I remember that.
But one thing I did notice a lot is, if going on mise en scene here, at the very beginning, first of all, the beginning opening is
the slow push in and we think,
slow-
oh, it's just that, and then it's actually J.K. Simmons walking in.
slow push-in of
cool.
Andrew Neiman just jazzing away. By the way, Miles Teller played drums when he was younger. So I think they said 80% of the drumming is actually Miles Teller.
cool.
Wow, I was wondering about that.
That's crazy. So he
I think
actually,
that the close-ups probably aren't him, but the ones that are wider.
So the
obviously
very
him.
close-ups, I'm pretty sure aren't him.
Exactly.
But
That's got to be pretty.
Yeah.
Like that's got to be.
He went to some got music lessons a lot, music school just before this role, just to perfect, because he played it when he was 15, so he still had to get that rhythm back, and he had to be taught traditional grip. So that's traditional drumming grip. I don't know. See, when you
Is that like when they hold it like
yeah, so
like
when you see drummers like rock and roll, they're normally just holding it straight. They have the little focal point there. They can. I played a little bit. I dabbled in drums in high school.
He dabbled.
I dabbled. Oh, okay. From like year 3 till year 12, I dabbled in drums. So
you did lessons at school, didn't you?
Yeah, I did lessons. So
I can play Whiplash. It's whatever.
Yeah, no, I never got into jazz
I
drumming
just bled all over the drum kit
First of all,
in high school. It was normal.
any jazz instrument as well. I don't want to be like. I don't want musicians to call me out for.
Do you not like jazz?
No. It's
Do you like
fucking
jazz?
difficult. It's so difficult. It's like I think they might disagree. Because I'm not too sure, but I think it's the hardest genre to play.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's
swingy.
so inconsistent.
Yeah,
you're all over the place.
But it's such a beautiful genre as well. So
beautiful.
the traditional grip, they would like hold it like that. So he had to be taught traditional grip because he got taught just the normal rock and roll grip, which like depending on your teacher, most people get taught just like the normal like rock and roll grip. But so he did 80% of the drumming himself, which I thought was impressive.
Yeah.
Anyway, so the opening scene, pushing into that. Great opening of him going around, and then Terence Fletcher comes in and starts talking to him.
He's
and
such a looming presence.
even from that first interaction they had, when Andrew stops because he sees Fletcher, and then Fletcher's like, "Why'd you stop?"
Yeah.
And he starts playing, and then Fletcher was like, "Well, why'd you stop?" I feel like even then it's just asserting his like, because if that happened to you, like, you'd be like,
cry.
Yes.
Or like the fake kindness of like him asking about his parents just to use it as insults like 10 minutes later.
Yes. He's using he gets Andrew to open up, and he takes all this vulnerability and just uses it as like ammunition.
Hurls abuse.
He hurls abuse, particularly around his mother as well. And we see that, like you said before, Fletcher's not just like this with Andrew. One scene that stuck out to me is when they had someone out of tune, and he's going row by row by.
Because I thought it was gonna be the drums for sure. Because you know right before he was like tune it to a big flat. He was like, "Oh, can I hear it one more time?" And he goes, "No, get out." I was like, "Oh, it's gonna be the drums. It's gonna be the drums," and it wasn't. I was like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah. And then they go to I think it was the trombone section, and then he starts bullying this guy to the fact that he thinks he's out of tune, but he wasn't out of tune.
And he didn't know, which was worse.
His justification is like he doesn't know that he's out of tune. It's even worse. And then we get the whole subplot of Terence finding out one of his former students passed away.
Well, he didn't just pass away.
You don't really know at first, but then as it goes down, you find out that he unalived himself.
Yeah, he unalived himself, but when he tells his students, he says he got hit by a car.
Gets hit by a car.
Which is ironic because in Miles Teller's get hit by a goddamn truck.
That sequence, was that not the most stressful thing you've ever felt?
100%.
Yeah.
So basically what has happened at this time, Andrew needs to perform for one of their performances, and he takes a taxi, like a taxi service or like a car service?
He takes a bus, the bus breaks down, then he needs to hire a car.
He needs to hire a car, And then when he goes to the performance area, he's left his sticks
back at the car.
Yeah, he's left his sticks back at the car rental place. So he has to rush back just before like this live performance is starting. And then he's driving back, but he's getting a call saying, you're going to get fucking replaced. And he's like,
by Johnny Utah.
Yeah, tell fucking Fletcher I'm coming. And then as soon as that, he gets hit by a truck. And that whole sequence itself, I thought was beautifully directed.
Yeah.
Well, it's also a brilliant metaphor for the relationship he has with Fletcher.
Yeah.
It shows how self-destructive
it is,
and just generally destructive that this whole journey has become for him.
And the fact that he gets out of the car, his
and
first
runs
thing,
there.
He doesn't want to go to hospital. He wants to his hand. He's not even being able to drum properly. His hand.
Well, he's bleeding from the head. He got into the car flipped over.
The car flipped over, and it's just really showing like obviously his...
And then he fucking attacked Fletcher. He tackled him.
And then
which was a real like
Fletcher's like, you're done. You're done. And then that actual stunt broke 2 ribs of J.K. Simmons.
Shit.
Yes,
Damn.
What?
Yeah, that stunt itself actually hurt J.K. Simmons.
Wow, Miles Teller.
Strong man.
And then, so we get after this, we get the whole Andrew snitches on Terrence Fletcher.
Yeah.
And then Fletcher gets kicked out. And then we find that they stumble across each other at a bar, and Fletcher invites him to perform. And then...
Wasn't it creepy seeing Fletcher perform just normal, in a normal setting?
But even though he was normal, the things he was saying was so out of pocket. Like, he was justifying his actions.
Yeah, he was trying to justify...
Even though he did it in a nice way, he was justifying his just destructive behaviour. And it was like,
but just
eerie.
seeing the beast in an environment like that.
He was just...
Seeing him playing this very gentle, twinkling piano. It was an odd sight. It's like... you're seeing him in his natural habitat, but outside of as well. Yeah. It's quite bizarre, and it really catches you off guard because you feel like these guys could be friends.
Yeah,
very, very close. These guys could be friends.
Honestly, and just trying to justify, I just want to bring the best out of my students. But it's like there's an extent where you can throwing.
Well, I think it's more he's finding who would do that because, like he said, Johnny Utah, whatever his name was, dropped it, couldn't cut it, and then the other guy swapped the pre-med because they weren't the type of people who would go back and practice and come back. Yeah, I guess he goes discouraged, but he knew for Andrew Newman, he wasn't like that.
Yeah.
If he gets shit yelled at, he goes and practices. He does it till his hands bleed. He was.
I think he also uses Fletcher uses the other drummers to manipulate.
Oh yeah, like he says, Johnny. I don't remember his real name. I'm calling him Johnny Utah because they called him Johnny Utah once, and it was so funny that I just like to call him Johnny Utah now. Did you not remember that line? Johnny Utah, turn my pages, bitch. So funny. He says he was just an incentive for you.
Yeah.
So he admits that it wasn't because he actually wanted him to play.
Yeah.
He was doing it to make Andrew want to play
yeah.
better.
And the fact that they had the whole not my tempo with 3 drummers drumming
God.
their hearts out. Yeah.
So tense, and they're there till the early hours of the morning. The whole band's tied to their mind because they just keep swapping, and they're drenched in sweat because the tempo is just not right.
Fletcher's to everyone take 5, take 10. I don't fucking care.
Okay.
Take whatever.
Get a drink.
Yeah. And then
but that brings us to the last scene.
Yeah, that last scene. Well, I mean, besides stuff in between that stuff, but the last scene, he gets on stage thinking Fletcher is his buddy now, and then Fletcher comes up to him and then says.
You don't think I didn't know, did you? And then says the song that they're meant to performing,
which is
and
Whiplash.
He doesn't have the pages for it.
And then he just gets horribly embarrassed on stage in front of because they brought
a bunch of people.
Yeah.
It's the do or die. Like you do shit in this, you'll never have a career. If you do good, you'll have a career.
Yeah.
Which makes him, run off the stage upset.
Too.
But then makes him want to go back on. And when he goes back on, he just
clicked. He's like, no, you guys follow my lead.
Yeah.
And then Fletcher comes at him and he's like, I'll gouge your fucking eye. And then he hits a symbol
hit him in the
as a way.
face.
It's like a whole piss off. Fuck you.
Do you think this is really just a love story? It's at its core, it is a love story.
It's a love story between Fletcher and Neiman.
It's a toxic love story.
It's so
but
toxic.
It feels like because it hinges on their relationship.
Yeah.
Because the film kind of hums when they're both on screen together. And you really feel that this is really
it's a love-hate relationship. Like they love to hate each other.
Yeah.
But also makes him better, especially with Newman, because his dad, as well as whoever the other people were that I don't remember at the dinner table.
Yeah. Oh,
they all shit on his career.
That dinner table scene.
They all shit on
was
his
that
career.
not like one? Like that was.
It was so triggering.
I think as people who do film as a
so triggering.
as a like something at school, like this is the thing we want to go into as a career. We've all been in that sort of position.
Yeah.
No matter
people
how
being like,
supportive
oh,
get
is
like,
it really a career?
Yeah,
and then you're just like,
your siblings like studying like economics and all these stable career paths, and
we've
then
all understood
then
that
it's
dinner
like
scene.
you and you're like, I like film, and then they're like,
I think we all understand that scene.
They're
to a
like,
hardcore.
why would you do that? Why would you do this thing?
Yeah.
And I love how he's like, it's third division. It's not even
Yeah.
Like it's you're just shit. You're never gonna make it to NFL.
3 words
and he's like,
you'll never hear from.
4 words you'll never
hear. 4 words
you'll
you'll
never hear.
He's like, I'm playing in the best like conservatory in like the country.
Exactly. Like
which means I'm the best.
I'm in Schaefer.
I'm a core drummer now.
You know, I'm a core drummer, and they're just like, okay. But yeah, no. In that last scene, he goes out there. He does his own thing. He hits the tempo perfectly.
And then like
to the point where J.K. Simmons is now impressed rather than pissed off, and we get the real close up of the like the nod.
There's a switch with Fletcher. Like
he's
now
impressed.
like when Neiman's playing, a cymbal falls over, and instead of he helps Neiman now, like because now he sees this like he's coming to like his full potential, and he's really just trying to guide that. And you know how like Fletcher, like during his performance, he's also really being like a real ally in terms of slowing it down and like let's pick it back up. Pick it, and
it's so impressive. It's so impressive.
And the way it was edited
so
as well,
fast. Like when we pull out to where the audience is, and he's going just like
nuts.
Insane.
The editing also for this film is crazy.
It is good,
I think it should have been. I think it should be nominated. I'm not sure if it got nominated or not, but it should have definitely got nominated in my reckon.
Yeah. Well, I think the reason why it didn't is because the film is quite economical in terms of its editing. From Damien's interviews on the film, and Miles Teller said this too, he's a very efficient director. And I think that comes from telling a very personal story.
Yes.
And I think that's something that we could all learn as young filmmakers, is that telling a personal story makes for far better production.
Yeah.
Because you know exactly what it is, you know exactly what you want to see, and you'll make it happen. So Miles Teller said when we were shooting, he'd only do like a maximum 2 takes. And then he'd switch to like another shot from a different angle. And he felt like, you know, it was really quite nerve-wracking because I don't know if, you know, it's perfect or if we don't have enough coverage. So a film like that is shot so efficiently. Yeah. And obviously it's not a huge budget film.
Robert Eggers, it's something that reminds me of Robert Eggers when he filmed The Lighthouse, because he had to plan out every single shot.
With a film like that, you'd have to. Yeah. But anyway, what do we feel about this?
I just wanted to quickly say as well, the mise en scene, the clothing, at the very beginning, Neiman's wearing a white shirt, and gradually, I know, Ezra, I can hear you.
We're being told by our producers and cameramen that we've been doing it for too long. And we've been trying to wrap it up, and David keeps coming back.
Just very, very quickly. He wears a white shirt at the beginning, and as the film progresses, his shirt color progressively gets darker until his final shirt color is completely black.
Which matches J.K. Simmons always in a black shirt.
Yeah, and now I feel like it's like it's a bittersweet ending with now he has like succumbed to like Fletcher's.
He's got his Charlie Parker.
He does have his Charlie Parker.
Anyway, to adhere to
wrap it
Ezra's time schedule.
Okay.
I think I'd give it a solid 9.
I think so too. I think it's a 9.
I think it's an A.
Okay.
Plus?
As in 8 or A?
An A.
Oh, okay. So what would you give it in terms of like
Actually, I love this film. Fuck it. I'm giving it an A+.
Oh, so a 10.
We didn't even get to talk about the folder. You know the folder scene?
Yes, where he misplayed. What do you think happened to it? What's your theory?
Fletcher stole it.
So do I.
Fletcher did steal it. He gave it to the other dude. Gave it to the Connolly dude. Gave him the caravan, the thing.
Wait, what?
Was that the one?
What?
I thought it was just a different. Was it a different call sheet?
The folder that
the one that Newman puts down and then it goes missing.
Gets coke and then.
I reckon Fletcher took it.
So that he could see the dude play. Yeah.
Correct.
That's something Fletcher would do.
But yes.
Anyway, yeah. So 9.
9, and is she going to give it a 10?
Give
Perfect.
It a 10. I love this film.
And on that note, Jess, what's the first rule of Film Club?
To talk about Film Club.
Oh. So true. Are we going to talk about what films we're going to do next week?
Oh, we are.
You almost forgot that.
I almost did, yes.
Well, I'm going to do Shutter Island.
What? Because after
Making up
Amy-
for David.
Hey,
sister.
I'm
It's
catering
great.
to Amy O'Leary, and Amy O'Leary can get what she wants.
Yes.
She's gonna get it.
Okay. I'll be doing Her.
Ooh.
Joaquin Phoenix,
Okay.
Yes.
Interesting.
See you guys then.
See you guys. Bye.
Bye.